Salute. Shout out to everybody in the building. Can y'all hear me out there? Let me know if y'all can hear me. Yeah. We got a crazy situation going on right now in New York, guys. Somebody just tried to blow up the federal building. Yeah, man, where the ICE agents are being held. And it is crazy. What's up, y'all? Can y'all hear me out there? You know what I'm saying? They trying to blow up and stuff in New York about ICE, man. Yeah, real talk. There was an explosion today, man. You know, the suspect got captured at a manifesto. Yeah, manifest. Every one of them be having a manifesto these days. That's the crazy part. You know, almost all the crimes I be seeing being committed, man, they be having manifestos nowadays. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? Why are they always writing these letters, you know, after they do the crime? Like they just know they finna get caught or they feel like they finna be unalive. And then they leave a manifesto. Yeah, man, we right back at it. What's up, guys, man? You know what I'm saying? What's up with it, Baller? Shout out to everybody in the building, man. Make sure y'all double tapping that screen, man. Yeah, we on the news end of things, guys, and it is crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? New York City better buckle up. I told y'all there was going to be a lot of backlash behind this whole situation with this ICE mass deportation situation. I told y'all that when it first started. And what's been happening ever since? A whole bunch of confusion, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Explosions, people being unalive. It's just crazy, man. You know, but they most definitely caught the suspect, just like they caught Paula Robinson. You know, they have doubled back and caught the suspect of this NYC attack that took place today, y'all. It's been everywhere. I've been seeing it everywhere. No cap, man. You know what I'm saying? Hold on real quick. Let me pull it up for y'all real quick. Yeah, Tom Homan came out and spoke on it, and the officials in New York most definitely gave a press conference about it, you know, where they talked about what exactly it is that is going on. I was like, wow, man, really? Yeah, man, make sure you guys are double tapping that screen, man. That's how y'all get us back in the algorithm, by double tapping that screen. So if you're in attendance, everybody in attendance, most definitely double tap that screen. Hold on, you know what I'm saying? So this is how it started, you know, with the breaking news about the whole situation going on in New York, guys. Check this out. You know what I'm saying? Let's get up to the beat. We in the building. Shout out to the sidewalk.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. It's 10:37 on the East Coast and 7:37 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and we can now see that we have an aerial view on the top right of your screen from this explosion, quote, incendiary device set off outside of a federal building there in New York City that houses the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office. Not sure on a lot of the details just yet, but you can also see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, that is a traffic camera that's just a short distance away, as essentially this area is all taped off.
Yeah, they tried to blow it up, man.
Officers, and there are a lot of police cruisers in the area. Going to pop this up full to give you a look at the scene itself. Again, they are zoomed in. This aerial look from Fox 5 New York, again, flying overhead with Skyfox as many of the officers are gathered together. Now, essentially, what we know at this point is coming in from Fox News, Bill Melugin, as he says, quote, this morning, an individual deployed an incendiary device outside of 26 Federal Plaza. The individual,
yeah, it was like a homemade, you know what I'm saying? Basically like a bomb, y'all. He used fireworks and things of that nature to cause the explosion.
Has been taken into custody, and the FBI New York Joint Terrorism Task Force is investigating the incident, end quote. Essentially, at this point, the statement that Bill is getting from officials with the FBI. Take a look at his post right here. The NYPD also telling him that there was a, quote, found firearm in relation to the event, but they could not confirm if it was found on the suspect. So as I mentioned, an incendiary device that was deployed outside of 26 Federal Plaza, but not a lot of information about who has been taken into custody. Don't know anything, age, gender, any of that. All we're hearing is, quote unquote, an individual. Now, it's also not clear if we're talking a big explosion, if we're talking.
What's crazy to me is they were able to catch him, guys. Yeah, moments later, right after he did this, he was caught. Like, you know, that's probably why he wrote that manifesto. He knew he was going to jail.
Like fireworks, that's all kind of up in the air at this point. What we're going to do is continue to follow this with the help of Fox News, as well as Fox 5 New York flying overhead at the federal building We also looked up the address there where police responded to 26 Federal Plaza, and it houses the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Building. Not quite clear just yet if this was a target attack on ICE or if that just happens to be where it was set off. Again, all of this.
That's crazy. Say, not sure. Now, remember, I got Tom Holt. He came and spoke on this situation. Most definitely a threat to ICE, guys. You know what I'm saying? As he makes his own incendiary device, guys, and it explodes outside the New York City Federal Building.
Is under investigation.
And it was a heat,
We're
guys.
gonna make sure to bring you any updates we get as we get them in real time. It looks like they are maybe zooming in on the scene there where the explosion or deployment, I should say, of the incendiary device took place. We're also not clear if there are any injuries or anything of that nature. We will follow all of these developments and bring you much more here on Live Now from Fox as we take a live look from a distance. This traffic camera showing the heavy police presence in that area and the taped off building, federal building there after that device was deployed. Again, we were crazy with the help of Fox News and our Fox 5 New York team.
Man, that is crazy, guys. So yeah, you know, they were able to catch the suspect with no problem. They caught him quick. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, what in the world is going on? Hold on real quick. Let me get this right back up here for y'all because there's more footage of the situation. Hold on. We ain't done, man. We're never done. You know, we got all the content. All right, so here's a little bit more on this entire situation. You see the device has exploded and there's a lot of smoke outside of this federal building in New York, guys.
Walking out and the officer
his mic low.
Around 8:30 from emergency personnel who were down there. One person suffered a minor non-life-threatening injury. That particular person was treated at the scene but refused any further medical attention, did not end up at the hospital. The incident was closed by about 9 o'clock this morning. There are no reports that the flames spread inside the building. Okay, so again, let's just pick this up again. Let's start the video from the top, Tyler, because we're sort of in there.
What's up, Leisha?
So
y'all heard about this?
All right, so this is breaking news that we're getting right now. This is an image we're seeing from Lower Manhattan this morning. This is outside 26 Federal Plaza in Lower Manhattan. The NYPD received a call at about 8:30 this morning. This is Worth and Lafayette Streets. Two engine companies did respond here, and you can see the very quick action from some of the guards who are down there.
What's up, Westside?
The smoke rising in the air, creating some concern about what may have been going on there. One person was hurt, and it looks like what we're hearing is that there was some type of fireworks that were set off and that ignited a garbage can or some kind of...
I told y'all, they said fireworks fireworks exploded outside of a New York City immigration court at 26 Federal Plaza, guys. So I told y'all he used these fireworks as his own little kind of bomb or something, like he trying to burn the building down.
Outside of the building, no reports of any of the flames that possibly spread inside. But here's the thing, this location immediately raises fears about maybe there's something else involved here. Maybe there's some other kind of motive. 26 Federal Plaza, where this is all happening, this fireworks that was set off, is a major center of federal law enforcement and immigration operations. ICE maintains offices and the controversial short-term facility center there, the short-term holding facility where they hold a lot of the migrants who've come there and are then detained by ICE. You can see they've even got their weapons pulled here, the federal officers, as they run toward the scene. The building also houses New York's Federal Plaza Immigration Court, where we've seen so many arrests and protests. Look at this. It looks like there's some kind of confusion even as well. Those two federal agents, can you go back a little bit? Just a little bit? Let's go back a little bit on this video. Look at those guys even further. Go back even further. So those guys run up to the scene with their guns drawn.
Crazy, guys, crazy. This is in New York. Make sure if you're in the building, you double tapping that screen. That's how you hit the like button. Definitely subscribe if you are new.
The smoke and things on those lines that are rising. So in just a minute, we're going to see these other 2 federal agents who rushed to the scene. They have their guns drawn. So it really was unclear to a lot of the security. There we go. Look at these guys. They got the guns drawn as they're moving in. And then as they get closer, they're told there's no need for that. Look at this guy right here. A lot of confusion about what was going on down there. Important to emphasize, no confirmed connection to ICE operations, immigration proceedings, or protest activity. No indication at this point of any broader threat, but the circumstances definitely unusual. An outside fire. Look at that. It looks like somebody was taken into custody. Can you go back a little bit on that, Tyler, just for a second? So they had somebody.
They got him immediately, guys. It looked like somebody was taken into custody because it was. Now here's the suspect right here.
Oh, okay. Pause it right there. So we don't know if this person is someone who may have set off the fireworks, or if this is someone who may have been injured, or if it's just some random person who's caught up in this. Because, in the immediate sort of first few minutes after something like that happens, it's unclear who may or may not be involved. So is this person a civilian who's caught up, maybe wrongfully detained, or is that the person who they think may have set off the fireworks? So this investigation is still very much underway. The circumstances absolutely unclear. But just to recap, if we can go back to the beginning of that video one last time, we can show you that smoke.
It's crazy, guys. They just got him off the rip. It was like he was just right there, like, yeah, I did it. Take me to jail.
Like there was a firework, some kind of maybe a smoke bomb or something like that. That ignited a fire, and then you can see the scuffle that's happening further in the corner of the gate. And after watching the entire video, it looks like that may have been the person who they detained. So was that someone who they think actually set off, or was that someone who maybe was just sort of walking by at the time? So those are the key questions that we have right now. But that one person was hurt. One person may or may not have been taken into custody, who you see on the ground there. DCPI couldn't confirm to us whether or not there was a weapon or anything like that found at the scene, but we do know that those fireworks did ignite a smaller fire, probably in a garbage can. And that's what we're dealing with out here on the streets of New York City this morning. All right, so
crazy, guys, crazy. Now check this out. Like I said, Tom Homan most definitely came out and spoke on this whole entire situation, because it was targeted at ICE, as we come to find out from the suspect's manifesto. So right when it happened, when it interviewed Tom Homan, guys, and he had this to say. Let's go here. Shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure you guys are double tapping the screen, hit the like button, and man, subscribe to the channel if you are new.
Then anything manifesto?
No, I don't. I just got apprised of that before I walked out here, so I don't want to get ahead of the FBI. I don't know what changed since I walked out here, so it's too early. I'm not going to comment on it.
So
Other than this is just another example of someone, attacking ICE because of the constant messaging and vilification of the men and women of ICE.
So will there be investigations into ICE agents to either kill people that they are doing, or are involved in some kind of violent altercation?
Of course it will be.
The New York Times is reporting that the FBI was over again, that they will no longer investigate confrontations with immigration agents.
Let's be clear. What we mean by confrontations, it's always been history.
FBI say stepping back. They will no longer be investigating any confrontation when it comes to these ICE agents, guys. Ain't that something? Wow.
For instance, what happened in Minneapolis and Chicago and Newark, prosecuting one case, which are assault on law enforcement officers,
something out of my watch,
is usually handled by HSI, criminal investigations. The FBI does get involved with them, but they're not leading. But when it comes to shootings, the FBI is always taking the lead. So I think that messaging is a little confusing. The FBI is still going to continue to lead shooting investigations. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not aware of any change in policy, and I think the FBI and DHS actually pushed back on that story.
Mr. Hummel, when it comes to body cameras, you're a fan of body cameras now, correct?
Yes, I've always been a fan.
Why did the administration?
Now we can agree that ICE has been catching a lot of blowback, man. Just like I told y'all in the beginning, man. When I first seen it, I said, this is not a good idea, man. And look what's been taking place ever since. It's crazy, y'all. They most definitely tried to burn down the federal building in NYC, left a manifesto talking about it was most definitely targeted at ICE, guys. Yeah, man, with all the unalivings that's been going on, all the family ups that's been going on, man, these people are acting out, man. FBI, what's up with it, Anthony? You know what I'm saying? Well, the FBI director is incompetent anyway. You talking about what's his name? Cash Patel. Ice, we pour ice with. Evidently, everybody don't, because somebody tried to blow up a building in NYC behind ICE.
There was an executive order that the president put forward, even does rescind the Biden executive order that was mandating body cameras. Why the change now? Why is the administration?
Look, I'm a supporter of body cameras. You know, I know that body cameras exonerate officers almost 90% of the time. I want the American people to see what the ICE agent sees. You know, you can have cell phone cameras from across the street or cameras from the side or city cameras. I want the American people to see what that ICE sees when he takes action. And I think it's going to help ICE with the false media that's out there about it.
But then why did the administration with the Biden administration was trying to do to get body cameras and all?
That's a question of me. I'm someone. I came back, and you know that when Democrats shut the government down, I was a part of that negotiation team up on the Hill.
Let's have everybody in the building, man, take time to double tap that screen. If you're on the mobile device, all you have to do is double tap the screen of your mobile device, and that's how you hit the like button. Or you can most definitely the 3 dots in the right hand corner and hit the thumbs up. That's another way to hit that like button. But either way you choose to do it, make sure you take time to double tap that screen, man, and hit that like button. We most definitely in the building, man, and this is what's going on in New York. For all of my people that may not know, man, it's just crazy, guys. As a man, you know, basically tries to burn up the federal building in New York City where the ICE agents are held, you know, trying to take out some of the officers in New York. Breaking news.
In Minnesota, all the mistakes they say happen in Minnesota. I don't think they claim in Minnesota a lot more, I don't think, mistakes. But one thing they asked was, we want body cameras. I said, well, there's money, $100 million in the bill you're holding up for me to buy the body cameras. So the reason there's not body cameras nationwide right now, because they shut the government down. And anybody doesn't believe that, look it up. Now that we have the funding, body cameras have been purchased. As of last week, they were training the trainers. Body cameras are being deployed throughout the country. And the trainers, so they can go to, you know, a Boston field office and train everybody. Here's how you use it. Here's how long you need to keep the tape. And it just wasn't the funding for the camera that we had. A lot of people, they handled FOIAs, because I'm sure all you want FOIA cameras every day, right? So we got our people to handle FOIA. We got the storage capability of holding millions and minutes of video. That's expensive, but now we got the money that's being implemented.
You just said that in Minnesota, what happened was a mistake with the shootings that we saw.
Democrats claim all these mistakes were made. When I sat down, they said, well, they want a mask off. No, we're not taking masks off.
You're saying it's not a mistake. Do you have an update on the investigation that
people don't know? Look, I went to Minnesota and I said, from day one, it was not a perfect operation. There were several chains of command. I had a problem with the targeting. I went out there and made changes. I brought in additional internal affairs agents in. We created one chain of command. And you know, I see a lot of people out there saying that, you know, oh, we surrendered Minnesota. No, we didn't. I got agreements that keeps that city safer, keeps the officers safer, and bottom and keeps the aliens safer too. Because more things we can arrest in safety and security of a jail.
Are y'all buying what Tom Hogan is putting down? I'm just asking, man. Do y'all like Tom Hogan? Is he a good border czar? Let me know. You know what I'm saying, in the comments.
The less criminal
are y'all buying
the street. So we're able to go up there and continue the operation, but with unprecedented agreements, where less criminal aliens are hitting the street, which is good for that state, good for that city, and safer for our officers. That's a winner.
On the ICE officer in Maine, is there any more clarity on how he got his job, considering the vetting concern that his wife has raised? Are there potential changes coming to the vetting process of ICE agents?
that's a question for ICE. That's under investigation. I'm sure that part now is part of the investigation. What did the investigation play out? I'm not going to comment on the investigation. This is ongoing.
The New York Times found a review that 550 people served.
As the DHS secretary, what would you describe as the difference between his management style and the management style of his predecessor?
Let me say this. I'm going to share this an X post this morning. There are people out there who want to attack this current administration. I think we're doing enough. There's an X post this morning that someone shared me. Someone named Marianne or somebody. The ICE was arresting 3,000 aliens a day last year. No, not once. Not a single time doing 3,000 aliens. And now they're saying we're arresting 2,000. We're hitting about 2,000 pretty steadily. Like I said this weekend, the data arrests are up about 40% over the same time period that we've been funded. Now, I've been frank from the beginning. The numbers are different. That's because the department was shut down. Of course, numbers are going to go down when targeting less and officers, less overtime. There's all reasons. When you shut, the government down, there's going to be less to do. So I was very honest from day one.
What's up, Black?
The numbers were down 12 to 16%. But now the numbers are trailing up 40% because we are fully funded. ICE out there doing their job. But I'm really tired of the false narratives out there about what this administration is doing. The numbers are up. Last month, June, highest numbers of arrests in the history of the agency.
How many?
Then I see people say, wow, you're combining CBP numbers or Coast Guard. No, I didn't. The numbers I quoted this week were ICE numbers. So I wish people would do a little bit of research before they start attacking this administration, what we're doing right now. Our numbers have never been. And I can, we're saying we're not doing enough. That's an insult to every ICE agent that's strapping up every day, working 6 and 7 days a week to get this done. It's an insult. These men and women are
It's one thing to do your job. It's another thing to do your job right, man. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of wrong being done right, in my opinion, Tom Homan. Y'all got to clean it up, man. You're looking bad out here.
Professionally, they're out there making record numbers, and people want to question numbers. I guess that's your right, but let's compare facts.
I just have a question about the difference in the management style of those.
Me and Mark Wayne want to get along well, and he cares about the mission. We serve different roles. ICE and CBP reports to Mark Wayne Mullen. I'm here. I help Stephen Miller. We develop strategies to send down to the programs for implementation. So we got different roles, but I think Mark Wayne Mullen's doing a good job.
But sir, should FBI investigate these ICE agents if they confront people? That is what the New York Times is saying. That's what their reporting is. They have something that 550 people had charges brought against them for assaulting federal officers. Of the more than 400 cases that were resolved, nearly half had unraveled.
You know what's going to help though? The body cameras they didn't have body cameras. A lot of these confrontations happen. Again, I think body cameras are going to help. Look, I'm not going to comment on these investigations.
That's the answer, not FBI investigating.
Yeah, definitely need to have those body cameras on when you're dealing with the American public, man. People want to see what it is actually that took place rather than have to go out the word people. So body cams is most definitely necessary, man. Get every ICE agent a body cam.
As far as I know, there's been no change in policy. The FBI and DHS just responded to that story and didn't agree with it. Again, I'm not in loop on that. I can just tell you from my experience, FBI has always been involved in shooting investigations. HSI, they're the criminal investigation part of ICE. They do the majority investigations in 111, which is assault and beating an officer.
How are the training procedures changing? You talked about training the trainers. How are those training procedures changing? And
they're not changing. Training the trainers for the cameras. How to operate the camera. What's the requirements? When do you turn it on? When do you turn it off? How quick do you need to store the data? How long is the data being stored? So there's a lot of work into this, and training the trainers. Once they get fully trained, they go to a field office with the equipment, and they implement and deploy it and tell people, here's how you use it and here's how you control it.
Are there
so what's the timeline then for every? What's the timeline then for every immigration agent to have body cameras?
As soon as possible. Have my way.
So you're satisfied with the training right now of ICE agents? Nothing needs to be improved. And is
There's
procedure
always
changing
room
for
for that's a loaded question. There's always room for improvement. Things change all the time. FBI updates their training, DEA updates their training, every police department updates their training. But you can never be overtrained. I wish there was more training.
I think American people want the answer of when every ICE agent will be wearing a body camera. I know you said as soon as possible, but is there a timeline put around within?
That's a question for us. I know they got deployment schedule, and I know they got the equipment. That's a question for us. Not that we that deep.
Is there an administration required to turn on their cameras at all times during a traffic stop?
Yeah. Yes.
And what consequences if they don't?
More about the quantity of ICE agents over the quality of the agents?
Say that again.
Is this administration more concerned about the number, the quantity of ICE administrations that are
No.
deployed over the quality?
I can't speak for everybody's administration, but quality agents are very important. So
are
it should be
there
all.
gonna be
You don't give somebody a badge and gun; they need to be the best they can be.
So are there going to be reevaluations on the hiring?
That's a question for us.
Is there any
Who's
other
gonna win?
procedure or protocol on the ground changing? Stops?
There's already, the director of ICE decided that there needs to be at least one body.
This is Tom Hogan speaking on the situation in New York, as well as the situations with ICE all around, man. Yeah, man, it's most definitely crazy, man. I see a lot of y'all down there talking about the battle in Iran, man, and the amount of soldiers lost, man. Hey, man, this whole time is just crazy, man. All we can do is pray. That's it.
I'm going to sing. And again, I'm a big supporter of the body cameras. And as more body camera gets out there, they'll have them.
That's the only.
But let's be clear, you can attack the men and women at ICE all you want. It comes down to one simple fact. These people fail to comply with law enforcement. Even some of the major chiefs in this country who don't necessarily agree with this administration says you always comply with law enforcement. But the hateful rhetoric that ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. I see these signs that will resist. ICE are let's abolish them. They're fascists. When you keep that hateful rhetoric up for a year and a half, there's going to be that percentage of that part, that left population that's going to be emboldened to take action because they're not real law enforcement agency. I should resist them. All they had to do is simply comply with law enforcement. If you don't like what law enforcement did to you, then go to the court, sue, call the ACLU, do whatever you want to do. We should always comply with law enforcement. If they did, they'd be alive today. Now, I'm not going to count on investigations, wait for it to play out. This is about complying with law enforcement, and a lot of the
Tom say comply with law enforcement, and if the people who are unallowed during all this have done that, they'll still be here. That's what Tom Hogan said. Hey, man, he very no nonsense, man, right to the point, very blunt, type person. It's crazy, y'all. They are all sellouts, both sides. Kiss Wade, Trump as much. Oh my goodness. Never mind. Let's get back to Tom Hogan, man.
A lot of the negative, hateful, and I said this a year ago, if a hateful rhetoric doesn't stop, there will be bloodshed. And unfortunately, I was right. Now I'll tell you something else. It's not over yet. Unless they keep attacking and miscommunicating what ICE does every day, calling them Nazis, and comparing ICE to the Nazi regime. Are you kidding me?
Compare them, wow, to the H dude. I don't say his name over here, but y'all know who I'm talking about. H dude in Germany, and the swastika person, the swastikas, comparing the ICE agents to the people who march around in Berlin and things of that nature with the swastika on their uniform. That is crazy.
And miscommunicating what ICE does every day, calling them Nazis, and comparing ICE to the Nazi regime. Are you kidding me?
Lord.
And I'm not saying the whole country's convinced, but there's going to be a population that's going to embolden to do something stupid. And I'm afraid that we're going to bury an ICE agent. I'm afraid I'm going to hand another photo spouse or a child of an ICE agent for simply doing his job. And for any member of Congress to keep attacking ICE and calling them fascists and Nazis, I said at the time, if they're a Nazi for enforcing the law, well, what's that like them? They wrote the law. We're not making this up. We're enforcing laws they wrote, and that they appropriate us money to enforce. Now, I'll say it once again. If
they're getting that backlash, y'all. That's that backlash.
Illegal, they'll be held accountable, just like they were held accountable in Minnesota. Everybody, guys, ICE agents are mom and dads too. They don't hang their heart on a hook every day to do this job. And it's just not attacking the ICE agents, it's attacking their spouses and children. And no one knows that better than me. I can't even go get a quart of milk at a grocery store without a security detail. Why? Because I'm enforcing laws in this country. It's pathetic.
Wow. Tom, he can't even go get milk from the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? For enforcing the laws of this country. You know, ICE agent kids are being doxxed and threatened. You know, this, that, and the third, man. Yeah, I said it was going to be bad, and it is.
Milk at a grocery store without a security detail. Why? Because I'm enforcing laws in this country. It's pathetic and it's disgusting.
It's pathetic and it's disgusting. That's what Tom Homan had to say about the entire situation. All right. So when it comes to this explosion that took place in New York City, man. Yeah. Now remember, I told y'all they caught the suspect. They caught him rather fast. You know what I'm saying? They caught him, you know, instantly. Check this out. This is some more on the arrest of the suspect, guys. It could be.
Out of New York City, police are investigating an apparent attack outside a federal building in Lower Manhattan. Look at this video here. That's to say a man armed with an airsoft rifle and commercial-grade fireworks targeted 26 Federal Plaza. Which
now y'all hear what he had? He had an airsoft rifle and fireworks, guys, and basically set this whole thing in motion behind ICE. You know, it's crazy, man. Check it out.
We start with breaking news out of New York City. Police are investigating an apparent attack outside a federal building in Lower Manhattan. Look at the video here. Investigators say a man armed with an airsoft rifle and commercial-grade fireworks targeted 26 Federal Plaza.
Now, what was he finna do with an airsoft rifle, guys? Let me know. You know, he was out there trying to look more dangerous than he actually was. This is crazy. But he left a manifesto. You know, he thought he might be unalive. He left a manifesto, and basically the FBI has it.
Headquarters and the FBI's New York field office. The suspect, though, is now in custody. Joining me now is Anna Schechter. She covers crime for CBS News. Anna, thank you so much for your time. So what more can you tell us about what happened this morning at 26 Federal Plaza? And what are investigators learning about the suspect and his motive?
So we come to find out, according to Ronnie, allegedly, until we find it as fact. He says that the suspect also had 2 other rifles that they were able to find. Were they airsoft rifles or real rifles, my guy? You know, because the report right here say he was out there with an airsoft rifle and fireworks.
When something caught fire, it was an explosive device inside a garbage can behind me at this building. And this federal building houses the FBI's agents here at the FBI New York field office, other federal officials who work on sensitive cases. This individual who was taken into custody is a known anti-ICE activist, according to 2 law enforcement sources. We also learned that this individual had some kind of a long gun, that actually airsoft gun. So it looks real, but only shoots plastic pellets, and it was concealed in such kind of a shopping cart. And police took this individual into custody, and the investigation is being led by the Joint Terrorist.
So this is the second recent attack involving an ICE facility after the Phoenix shooting. So what are you learning about the broader security concerns around these patients?
Well, for the last several years, it has been a high threat environment for federal buildings like this, and in particular in the wake of this immigration reform effort by the Trump administration. Lots of federal agents deployed around the country, some of them not necessarily trained to carry out immigration enforcement operations. And so you've had terrible things happen. You've had a man shot dead in Minneapolis by an ICE.
And if the audio is sounding a little crazy, guys, that's from their end, not mine. This is how the video was recorded. Got nothing to do with my reception or anything like that. It's strictly on the news, man. As a crazy man goes with an airsoft rifle and some fireworks to try to burn down and get himself unalive in New York, guys, trying to burn down the federal building.
And you've had other people shot dead in other states. We just had an incident like that in Maine. So you've had a lot of tension around this current administration's immigration reform. And on the flip side, you have anti-ICE activists who have also come out to protest, many of them peacefully, but there have also been attacks like this one that is currently under investigation. But my sources tell me that all signs point to this being motivated by a sort of anti-ICE ideology, a frustration with
my guy say dude is just a junkie trying to get attention. Oh wow.
Administration, but also this is a really sort of typical attack carried out by anti-government people. We've seen a slew of these types of attacks over the last few years.
Yeah. Anna, what does the scene look like right now where you are? And also talk to us about the response from
Well, I'm standing right next to several police officers, and there are dozens of police officers behind me. There were choppers overhead. You had the emergency services unit out here in full force, and we've been interviewing them over the last few weeks. We have so much going on in New York City. We had a woman saved from the Brooklyn Bridge a couple of weeks ago. We've had other.
That's what I'm saying, LB3. He had an airsoft rifle, as far as we know, and fireworks.
Where emergency services had to go up and take people off the top of the Empire State Building. So just a lot of things happening here, a lot of big events, but a lot of incidents where law enforcement has had to engage. And this is yet another one of them. And I imagine you played that video from earlier this morning where you see black smoke, you see law enforcement engaging. It was a very tense situation earlier this morning, and thankfully it appears no shots were fired, and I don't have any reports from my sources as to injuries.
Okay, Anna Schechter, thank you so much for your reporting today. I appreciate your time. And now I want to bring in former NYPD Sergeant Felipe Rodriguez. Sergeant Felipe, thank you for your time as well. What do you?
Yeah, everybody's talking about it, guys. I wonder what this guy's mental state was, But let's listen to this officer give his detail.
Your sources at this early stage of the investigation.
Well, at this moment, what we have is an active crime scene. It is an act of terrorism. Anytime that we have, any sort of explosion or what we call an improvised explosive device like we had here, it could be, investigated at the federal level. And, the investigation will carry on until federal prosecution. People have to realize that, even though this time, thank God, we didn't have any major injuries or anything like that, just the fact that we use an explosive device is a heavy criminal charge. And at times could even be met with some sort of death penalty, case being brought against them.
Yeah, and we talked about how this building houses not only an immigration court, but also the FBI's new New York field office.
Yes.
Are there extra layers of security at locations like this?
That is, I actually tell you from experience, it is one of the most secure locations that I've ever been to. I remember being a young detective and going for training with the FBI, and even to the fact that we had to go into different sections of the building. Even though we were NYPD officers, we were actually escorted by uniformed FBI police officers, which are also located in that building. So we have multiple layers of security and multiple federal agencies that are housed in that building. And if
you are in the building and the sound of my voice, guys, double tap that screen. Can we get the likes to 100? Double tap that screen if you have not. If you're on the mobile device, double tap your screen. If you're any other kind of device, click the three dots in the right hand corner and hit that thumbs up. It most definitely helps out the channel. I ain't asked y'all for $1, only to hit the like button, and most definitely subscribe to the channel if you're new, so as we find out all the details regarding this explosion that took place at a New York City federal building this morning.
It's intense. Look at the outer perimeter. We've had all these barriers that are already in place. And if you look at the building itself, I mean, you can't go a couple of feet without being some sort of CCTV surveillance. And it's multiple cameras that are layered one on top of another.
Well, who is you calling a clown? Why don't you ever come up in my chat and disrespect me? You must not know where you at. Yeah, it's the mass deportation situation over here. Let me show you a clown, homie. We're going to get you right up out of here. Let's go ahead and get him on the first rocket ship, you know what I'm saying, going to outer space somewhere to a spot where he never returns. We holler at George Bush, you know what I'm saying? They said you ain't like black people no way. We get you right up out of here. See ya. Hasta la vista, baby. Yeah, blocking.
So it is one of the most secure buildings that I've ever experienced in my 31 years of law enforcement.
Okay, Felipe Rodriguez, we appreciate your insight. Very helpful when we talk about the broader situation here. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, so we heard from an official, as far as the police go, speaking on this whole entire situation. Here's a little bit more regarding the suspect. In this case, guys, the person who is supposed to be done burnt down the building, tried to burn down the building, with some fireworks, gasoline, and was packing an airsoft rifle. Yeah, I don't know where he thought he could get you right up out of here. It's a block party.
Outside of a federal building in Lower Manhattan. We've been on this breaking news for a couple of hours now, and now some detail. Video of the incident shows smoke billowing onto the sidewalk. Officers tackled that man before handcuffing him and leading him away. You're watching Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Joining us today, Molly Line, Fox News correspondent, Rachel Campos Duffy, Fox and Friends Weekend co-host, Lisa Booth, Fox News political analyst, and Griff Jenkins, Fox and Friends Weekend co-host. 2 people were hurt, and law enforcement evacuated that area of Lower Manhattan, and New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani reacted this way. What occurred outside 26 Federal Plaza this morning was deeply disturbing. I'm relieved no one was seriously injured and that the suspect is in custody. My team is in touch with the NYPD and will support the federal investigation. Well, it wouldn't they? Our administration will continue to ensure that every New Yorker is safe in their city and hold accountable anyone who threatens that. The FBI is leading the investigation.
Around 9 o'clock.
The FBI say they're on top of
incendiary device and some liquid. I don't know what the liquid was. Put the liquid down, set some fireworks on top of it. It caused a little bit of a little fire. He was armed with a pellet gun. 2 people were injured, 1 federal employee and 1 civilian. Minor injuries. They are both treated and released.
Officials have yet to release the suspect's name or any information regarding his possible motive. But that area has been a hotbed for anti-ICE protest activity because the building has DHS offices for Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. One critic calls out the mayor, writing, "Mamdani's New York City is falling apart." Griff Jenkins, I don't know, was it the pop-up 12 homeless encampments over the last...
There is a lot going on, guys. It is, man, this is just crazy, man. An airsoft gun and some fireworks. Try to go burn down the whole building. Wow.
Weeks that would give you that theory?
This got to be crazy.
Is this piling on?
I must say, sadly, I'm not surprised that something like this is happening. If indeed this individual dreaded to carry this out because he hates ICE, we just had Mayor Mamdani doing an interview with New York Times talking about eviscerating ICE and talking about abolishing ICE. And so, yet again, fortunately, the first thing that came to mind was, thank God nobody got hurt. And it appears, if you watch the videos we all have been watching last hour or so, it looks like kind of a fireworks type situation.
People were hurt.
And maybe, but it could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
My point. Because if it is indeed driven by anti-ICE rhetoric from leaders like Mamdani, then it's another example of words matter. Rhetoric from politicians matter. And if that's the motive, then we really need to take a hard look, particularly people like Mayor Mamdani, Democrat leaders that are leading this charge to get rid of ICE.
Yeah, I interviewed James Galliano, who's on our team now at Fox. He worked in the FBI for 20 years inside that very same building, Lisa. And some of the things he said that disturbed him about this is that he's the guy armed with airsoft guns for munition training. He said it could have been.
Said it worried. It would have worked. An airsoft gun. What are you gonna do? Shoot with a BB? I'm just saying.
Performative, but it looked like a situation where he wanted to get people's attention potentially. My concern is that everybody sees how we react now. It's a little bit of a game plan watch.
Well, and some of the early reporting, obviously, we're still looking more as this unfolds, that it might have a connection to ICE, potential anti-ICE comments by the individual that have been made in the past, obviously immigration related with the location, as you pointed out as well. If that's the true, then this is just a continued iteration of targeting of law enforcement that we've seen from the left. They've really just put a bullseye.
I don't really feel like man, they targeting ICE because ICE is going to go take their families away. You know what I'm saying? And deport them back to these other countries. They going at ICE, not just law enforcement, but ICE enforcement.
Bullseye on the backs of our ICE agents. And it's not just with them, it's law enforcement in general, because we've really seen this since 2014 with Ferguson, all the lies that were told about police officers with that. This whole war on cops, this is the latest iteration of that. I got to talk to Border Czar Tom Homan twice, again, both on the Big Show as well as on Fox and Friends yesterday morning as well. And he pointed out a couple of things. Our ICE agents are just following laws of land that have been passed and put in place by both parties. So
and we most definitely just heard him say that.
Don't like it, change the laws. Also pointing out his biggest fear is that he's going to have to go to a funeral of one of these ICE agents.
And we most definitely just heard Tom Homan say that as well. So, you know, he has some good points, you know, but it's getting out of hand, man. They got to find a balance with this situation, because this mass deportation situation is really getting out of hand, man, for real, for real.
Because of the rhetoric from the left. And you can go down the list of the attacks on ICE agents that have happened over the years, whether it's been 2 separate shootings in Texas, 1 assassination attempt, another ICE agent shot in the neck, or fire bombings and arson attacks, or the dramatic increase of assaults on ICE agents, vehicle rammings, the list goes on. But those don't get a lot of attention, do they? But you know what does? Anytime an ICE agent makes a mistake or something bad happens, that's what gets attention. So look at that disproportionate amount of coverage that anything negative with ICE agents gets, as opposed to the attacks that they face. And then we see that same effect with if someone is a victim of one of these.
But I ain't gonna lie to you, man. You say the negative get highlighted when it's ICE. Well, it's a lot of them getting highlighted when it's negative. It's a lot of negative press out here on a lot of different subjects. So ICE ain't just the only one.
And this goes wrong with ICE, that gets an extraordinary amount of attention, but not the American citizens who are killed at the hands of the illegal immigrants that have gotten here. So ask yourself why the media would do that. Why would they only give one side of the equation, and why they're painting our ICE agents and our law enforcement agents as the bad guys in all of this?
You know, one of the things, and you know, for all of us who've interviewed Tom Homan, previous to his job now and then now as Border Czar, their families are always targeted.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll talk about that and come to tears talking about how his wife and how his living arrangements have had to be changed so he's not in the house as
but that's how those people feel, like their families are being targeted. They can't sleep at night. I mean, yeah, they need to get them some green cards and stuff, but Lord have mercy, Jesus, man. You know, I be hearing a lot of stories about people who aren't even illegals, you know, being he's a cap. That is how they feel. They do. You saying he don't feel like that, or you saying it's cap that the people who families are being torn apart and deported, and the people being deported, you know, can sleep good at night. I don't think they sleeping good at night, bro. They walk around on eggshells, you know. And like I was saying, there's a lot of people who are not illegal that report things that go on regarding ICE, man. They need to find a better strategy for what it is that they're doing, because this way is getting a lot of backlash, you know, and a lot of people are very upset behind what ICE is doing. I'm just saying.
Endangering them.
It's
I mean,
true.
it's heartbreaking.
Oh, I remember during the Biden years speaking to Border Patrol wives, and the wives there saying they've had to live sort of almost incognito as well, because they are targets there as well. So you look at his statement on X, and it's totally schizophrenic. On the one hand, he's like, they're Nazis, da da da. Then when something goes wrong, he's like, oh, this is unacceptable. You know, we shouldn't, you know, target. This is not acceptable for the city. You mentioned the encampments that have just popped up.
I mean, overnight.
Ton
of people on the streets.
That's right. We talk a lot on this network about the people that are leaving New York. We don't talk enough about the people that are coming in, because they see this as a safe haven, whether it's homelessness.
Jamie, I'm not pushing any kind of narrative. I've been definitely observing this since the beginning, and I knew this was a bad idea. And I live in Texas, you know, so I see a lot of this going on. And let me tell you this, the majority of the people that's being deported is not happy. Just let you know that.
Whether it's criminals, whether it's, you know, people who want to attack our law enforcement, you are going to see a very, very steady decline of this city in a way that we've never seen. Now, we remember seeing it decline from, you know, the Giuliani days, the Bloomberg days, and it's been going downhill from there. I think what you're going to see is in the next year and a half, this city's going to be even unrecognizable from what you see right now. Socialism doesn't work. That kind of rhetoric from a mayor doesn't work. It attracts the wrong people, and it sends the right people that make a city great, that make a great community, out.
You know, it's interesting, though, and I always try to look at things from the top down. We don't know what Zohran Mamdani's goals are, but he has been reported to be talking about, well, questioning, could you make it so that I could run for president if we change the Constitution? Now, I didn't hear him say that, but there have been reports that that possibly happened. Well, think about it. He wasn't born here. If your goal...
Change the Constitution? What? Man, do not touch the Constitution. What is you talking about?
Goal is to rise to higher office. You don't care who comes into the city as long as they vote for you.
That's right.
And we've seen that play with the Democrats before. Because, oh, well, you know, we need those votes. We've already got 100 million in the coffers from Biden. Just slide Kamala into that seat. Don't have a primary.
Yeah, or open the border.
Or even a debate.
Or open the border and let all these new voters in.
Yeah. He's very interesting when he talks about
Right, Brian. Right, Brian. And that was a lot of what have people in the uproar right there, what you just talked about, guy. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Silver Star. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate whatever that is. It just lit all the way up on my screen. Shout out to that, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just okay. You say he say, how about the ones that are already in jail and leave these hardworking people alone? I mean, do what you said you were going to do in the beginning when y'all first started saying that y'all was going to do these ICE operations, which was weave out the criminals, weed out the bad guys, right? You know what I'm saying? And leave the hardworking people, you know, alone. I can agree with that, Brian. Let the people who are going to work, you know, get they citizenship, you know, the little green card, start paying taxes like everybody else, you know, and get the ones that are violent criminals and that are locked up, you know, it leaves the other ones alone. I'm with that.
Discuss the possibilities of such a thing and weigh in and with our lawyers about this and the other thing and see where the future goes. But when it comes to Mamdani, as we speak about him in New York City, talking about being anti-ICE, that rhetoric we're seeing more and more accepted within the Democratic Party. A lot of those folks are at the head. They may be nominated. Maybe they won't beat the Republican ultimately that they'll face in the race. But that idea is certainly gaining steam, not just on the progressive side.
Jamie, you just in here to argue, talking about somebody pushing the narrative. Hey, how am I pushing anything? I'm showing you exactly what's going on. I'm telling you what Jesus like, the truth.
So leaning into the moderate side of the Democratic Party, similar to we saw an overall anti-law enforcement sentiment in recent years, but this seems to be the focus, the anti-ICE focus. You talked about things being performative potentially in this case of the recent incinerator device here in New York City. There were reports that he had...
This whole situation is new, Jamie. Why you sitting down there so hard critiquing me? This whole situation is new. This just happened today, so it's new. You know, this is new information. It wasn't yesterday.
A sign, speaking about the rhetoric of ICE. And Lisa, you talked about the great number of attacks all across the country on these various ICE facilities. Some of them were the sort of lone wolf sniper type, but there were others like the Prairieland attack in Texas that was an organized group. That ultimately led to convictions related
talking about, won't you talk about something new? Well, I thought this was new considering it just happened.
Charges and violence. So we'll see how people are held to account, not just for rhetoric during election times, but also in courtrooms when you see something like this, which ultimately more than performative in the essence that people were hurt. So we'll see what ultimately happens with that.
You know, back to the politics for just a second. It hit me as you were talking. What if the goal is just simply to abolish the Democrat Party? Well, this is one of the ways you do it. You take it over and then you change it from the inside out, and then suddenly you call it just the Socialist Party if you wanted. Last quick thought.
Last quick thought. Remember Claire Valdez, who was one of the DSA progressives that was elected here in the primary among the DSA candidates likely headed to Congress. At her victory party, they were chanting, Hakeem Jeffries, you're next. You're next. It's exactly what you're talking about, Harris.
Well, and now he's fighting with Bernie Sanders. It's not just, you know, people talking. That's happening.
You're absolutely right that that's the objective of the socialist left, to take over the Democrat Party, you know, destroy it from the bottom down and create it into its own image. But that's also their desire for the country. when you look at all the institutions that socialists want to break down, that's essentially eradicating everything we know America to be.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
Yeah, like Jamie in my chat, who like I ain't got freedom of speech or freedom of my own opinion. I got to be going off what she or he wants me to be going off of. And this is my channel. Find something safe to do. And they probably done got you up out of here. Anyway, okay, so that was a little bit about the suspect in the situation. All right, well, officials in New York most definitely came out with a press conference. We most definitely got that. If you have not, man, double tap that screen. That's how you hit the like button. Or you can click the 3 dots in the right-hand corner, hit that thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, where this is everything news, and I most definitely keep you updated. Everything going on in the news that I find interesting. I hope y'all find it interesting as well. All right, so here go the New York City officials speaking on this whole entire situation, guys. Continue to hit that like button. Continue to subscribe if you are new.
This is the FBI's New York field office.
As you've seen on the internet, he then pulled out an airsoft rifle and fired 5 to 7 pellets, if you will, in the direction of 26 Federal Plaza. At that time, Federal Protective Services, 2 officers, a gray suit, a contractor with Allied that is employed to guard this building. And those 3 people and the 2 officers standing behind me in the blue shirts are the officers that intervened and took Mr. Erbach into custody. Well, he had him on the ground. An FBI agent jumped in and they put handcuffs on him and took him in the building. He is currently in custody and he has been interviewed. Erbach is a former United States. He was enlisted for approximately 4 years, serving from 2001 to 2005. He was a repairman or mechanic on Patriot missile systems. He's 43 years old. There were injuries in this. 3 people were injured, minor injuries, 1 civilian and 2 government employees. Right now, our evidence response team is out working with NYPD and our New York Joint Terrorism Task Force to collect evidence, to conduct interviews. We have located a vehicle of Mr. Erbach's. We have seized that vehicle. We are procuring or obtaining a search warrant. Mr. Erbach came armed with bad intentions. I will say that 26 Federal Plaza has long been a target of extremists, of terrorists, and today the extremists.
He said the man came armed with a airsoft gun with bad intentions. That's what he said.
Here. The building was attacked. Mr. Erbach was looking to injure people and harm people. He had 2 axes, a hammer, a machete, and 3 knives, fixed blade knives. He had, as I said earlier, 6 incendiary devices or fireworks, and he had some other destructive items. Going forward today, like I said, we'll do more interviews.
Can we get 30 more people on that like button, man? Let's get the likes to 100. Double tap that screen if you have not. That's all you have to do if you're on a mobile device. If all your fingers are broke, you know, get one of your kids to do it or call your nurse in if you're in a hospital or a nursing home, you know, and have them double tap the screen of your mobile device for you, or click those 3 dots in the right-hand corner and hit that thumbs up, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Cadillac the Dumb, man, for copping that membership. Most definitely appreciate you, bro, man. Enjoy it, man. We got plenty of interesting content inside members only, man.
We'll collect more evidence, and we will, and I'll leave to Mr. McDonald to talk about charges. We take this very seriously. On his cart, he had a cart. He had anti-ICE literature on it. When he was being arrested, he used derogatory terms to ICE, used bad words, obviously. He is an anti-American, anti-government extremist. We know that from what he said. We know that from what he has said post-arrest. And we know that from what his actions that he tried to take. So I will turn it over to Police Commissioner Tisch.
So this is the official press conference, y'all, from the New York City Federal Building, where that man tried to set it on fire with gasoline, fireworks, and had an airsoft gun. They giving us everything that they got. You know what I'm saying? This is the most latest breaking details. This press conference just happened a little bit ago at 3:10. So it was at 2. So we right on time, man. Shout out to everybody in the building. Let's get the lights up. We got like 200 and some people, ain't even got 100 likes. We need 20 more people to double tap their screen. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you new. If you don't know how to do it, man, click those 3 dots in the right hand corner and simply hit the thumbs up. It helps out the channel.
Good afternoon. I am here to provide some additional details about this morning's incident outside of 26 Federal Plaza. This remains an active investigation, and the information that we have is still being gathered and is subject to change. Approximately 8:30 this morning, a call came in to New York City's 911 call center that there was an active shooter outside of 26 Federal Plaza in Lower Manhattan. 2 additional calls in the subsequent minutes reported an explosion and a male setting off fireworks at the location. Units from NYPD's 5th Precinct responded within 2 minutes of the first 911 call, and by the time they were on scene, the suspect had already been taken into custody by federal officers. The suspect has been identified, as you just heard, as Andrew Arabaca, 43 years old, of Poughkeepsie. He is believed to be a U.S. Army veteran. His last known address was up in Harlem. His vehicle, a black Toyota RAV4, was located parked in the vicinity of West 124th Street and Broadway, and that vehicle is subject to search pending a search warrant. The entire incident unfolded in view of an NYPD camera positioned on the southwest corner of Worth Street and Broadway. Video and witness statements describe the suspect's action as follows. At approximately 8:30 a.m., Mr. Arabaca arrived at Worth Street and Lafayette Street in front of 26 Federal Plaza. Once he arrives, he ignites a bundle of what appears to fireworks, which begin to smoke. He then goes back into his cart and takes out an airsoft rifle and proceeds to brandish it, and he appears to fire several pellets from the airsoft rifle. Next, he pulls out an orange bucket from his cart and runs towards the bushes along the building line. He dumps the contents of the bucket, an incendiary liquid, between 2 sets.
He had like a buggy or something, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is crazy. Dude said junkie, maybe a homeless man. Ain't no telling where he was able to come across these things that he had, but it's just crazy. They say he had a cart.
Of bushes along the perimeter of. Next, he pulls out an orange bucket from his cart and runs towards the bushes along the building line. He dumps the contents of the bucket, an incendiary liquid, between 2 sets of bushes along the perimeter of this property and ignites a fire. Federal officers then run up to the subject, subdue him, and take him into federal custody. On the scene,
so he did it right in front of the federal officials. I told y'all, they like y'all said in the chat earlier, he must have was trying to have unaliving by a cop or official, you know, because he was most definitely brazen. He did it right in front of him and got arrested immediately.
Recovered, among other things, 2 airsoft rifles and the container with the flammable liquid. Also affixed to the suspect's cart was a sign reading "Ice off our streets." During the incident, the suspect was wearing a military-style helmet. This incident occurred along federal property, and NYPD is supporting the federal government in their investigations. Charges are yet to be filed. Our work with the Joint Terrorism Task Force and the Southern District of New York is critical to keeping our city safe, and I commend the federal agents and contractors and officers who responded to the threat this morning. Now I'm going to turn it over to Deputy United States Attorney Jamie McDonald.
Thank you. I'm Jamie McDonald, the Deputy United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. As you can see, we're here in response to an incident this morning that took place just behind us here at the Jacob K. Javits Center, which houses dozens of federal agencies and thousands of federal employees. I want to thank the work of our law enforcement partners whose rapid response led to the neutralization of the threat and the immediate turn to evidence collection and investigation. Our office, the Southern District of New York, led by the National Security Unit and the General Crimes Units, are working closely with the FBI, the NYPD, FPS, and others to investigate this matter. As you've heard, one individual has been taken into custody. Our investigation is continuing, and we will keep the press and the public updated on charges. Thank you.
All right, time for a few on-topic questions. Which people hold on?
We're collecting the evidence, and we know there were anti-government and anti-state, and we know that an incendiary device and gasoline were used to start a fire. And charges are determined by the U.S. Attorney's right, the FBI, the New York City Police Department, New York State Police Department, all our members of the task force, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, are out collecting evidence today. We will present that evidence to the United States Attorney's Office, and the United States Attorney will make that charging decision. I don't know what those will be. His goal was to target the building. He said that and I'm not going to get into all the details of a post-arrest interview, but he was Mirandized, read his rights. He did agree to talk. In that post-arrest interview, he did say he was targeting the building and he was okay if he hurt or killed people going in and out of the building, whether they were federal employees or civilians. I would mention,
yeah, he might be suffering from some form of a mental illness, considering he had an airsoft rifle and some fireworks. But he's most definitely trying to make, a statement in so many words, and he was okay with unaliving people. That is crazy. He said anybody going in or out, it doesn't matter if they were a security guard or somebody, a regular citizen. He most definitely was on mission. Most definitely lock him up. He crazy.
a lot of business was canceled, not by the Federal Protective Services. Federal Protective Services, once they mitigated the situation, the building remained open, employees could come and go, and we continue to do work. But some agencies decided to close business for the day. There was a naturalization ceremony scheduled for today that was canceled. And the one civilian victim was an immigrant that had a hearing today for their immigration status. So that's quite unfortunate and quite ironic at the same time.
What can you say about the village that was found in Arizona and then Tesla? What do you know about the whereabouts of the building?
So he arrived in this area.
And they are answering questions from the public, guys. So, if you can't hear the question, you'll most definitely hear the response.
Yesterday, he went from Harlem. He took the subway down to the Penn Station area. He walked down and stayed overnight in the vicinity of the Holland Tunnel on the street. Then he came down to this area around 5 a.m. He ventured over to our spot a little after 8 o'clock. That's the timeline for his movements. We're still collecting evidence. NYPD is out doing what the NYPD does great, and they're working with the JTTF on that. He has a couple of encounters with law enforcement that we're not ready to talk about. Nothing rising to this level. Look, I would say that protesting in the United States is protected by the First Amendment. We do not track protesters. We do not know who comes and goes as far as protests. So I don't know if he's been involved in any protests at all.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
All right, we just got a ton of information from New York authorities on the explosion outside a federal building in Lower Manhattan this morning. This was outside a New York City ICE field office. The suspect being identified as Andrew Arabaca. He is in custody. He is 43 years old, a veteran. He originally is from Poughkeepsie.
Andrew Arabaca is the man's name. Yeah, most definitely a foreigner, guys. Going against ICE, Andrew, whatever, Arabaca is what it sounds like, she said. Andrew Arabaca is the suspect that tried to burn down the federal building. And New York City.
Office. The suspect being identified as Andrew Arabaca. He's
Arabaca, that's his name.
43 years old, a veteran. He originally is from Poughkeepsie, but most recently lived in Harlem. First, it appears that he showed up to this area, 26 Federal Plaza, ignited what appeared to be fireworks, and then it took out an airsoft rifle, fired several shots, took out an orange bucket and dumped the contents, which contained a flammable liquid, and started a fire. And he was wearing a military-style helmet and had anti-ice materials on him, as well as shouting anti-government extremist statements after his arrest. Let's go ahead now to Anna Schechter, who covers crime for CBS News.
Arapaca, you know, was most definitely trying to do some stuff he ain't had no business.
Had an immigration hearing this morning. That's why that person was there, as well as 2 government employees. But clearly, we're getting a lot of information here about a little bit more about who this guy is, what his motives may have been.
That's right. I mean, and it's the irony, right, that one of the people injured was actually there for a hearing.
And he did write a manifesto.
So listen, we have seen anti-government attacks for decades. So the phenomenon is not new, but what is new is this heightened temperature with anything having to do with immigration policies of the Trump administration. So this is not the first targeted attack on a federal building, but it is the first one where we see a huge raging fire. You see a suspect pouring gasoline. It's all caught on camera, and then you see the officers jump on him. So we got a lot of information early, but you're right, we just got a ton more. The timeline, this is jumping out to me. So he took the subway down this morning.
So you mean to tell me he was just out there pouring gasoline just outside the building, and they didn't think to stop him before he set it on fire? Like, they didn't see him out there pouring gasoline or on the building, or did they just let him pour? Like, you see what I'm saying? Just let him pour it out there. I mean, it didn't get serious for you when you seen the gas can or whatever he was pouring it out of. Like, he had to light it on fire first for y'all to go do something. I would think that you would stop him, you know, in his tracks when you see him pouring it.
From Harlem.
From Harlem, that's Upper Manhattan for viewers who aren't from New York City. And he brought with him what appeared to be a cart filled with all of these materials. And he had multiple ways.
See, he brought a cart filled with these materials, which means it was out there. He was grabbing it and pouring and pulling out. You see what I'm saying? Like, the security didn't see him before he set it on fire.
To wreak havoc. He had the weapons, which are airsoft guns. So what that means is that it shoots plastic bullets. So it is not as lethal as a regular gun, of course, but you can still hurt somebody. So he had those with him. The initial part of the attack is that he laid this explosive material and ignited it. He runs back to the cart. He gets the gasoline and he pours it right in front of that federal building in broad daylight, ignites that erupts into
and they just let him do it.
Huge raging fire, which the FDNY has to put
during what, by all intents and purposes, is rush hour.
Absolutely.
And for those who aren't super familiar, we'll go back to the timeline in a second. This isn't just one New York ICE field office. This is a plaza of federal buildings. We've got the courthouse where Donald Trump was a defendant.
That's right.
We have another courthouse where I actually got married to my wife. And we also have the New York Supreme Court. And so this is a ton of government buildings.
Oh, so you got married to your wife. Oh, okay. All right. You said, yeah, the other bit where I got married to my wife. Oh, okay. All right.
People would have been walking around, going to work, or maybe going to a hearing that they had.
And most importantly, too, in terms of motive, and you can bet that prosecutors will put this in the charging documents, is you have ICE officials headquartered at that building. You also have, essentially, that's the HQ for the FBI's field office in New York City. So 1,000 or more federal agents working out of that building. I've been in that building. I mean, there is a magnetometer. You are searched. It's like a full TSA screening to get in. Not easy to get inside, but it is easy to access that sidewalk area, which is where he targeted. After the fire, he then has time to run back, get the firearm.
Right. That's where I'm perplexed at. Like, nobody thought to stop him when he was setting up the fireworks to set them off. And then once he set them off, he poured gasoline on them to make them keep burning. He had enough time to set off the fireworks, go back to the cart, grab the gasoline, pour it on the fire, and then they came and got him afterwards when he rolled up with a buggy full of all the materials to do this with, and security didn't think that he was any kind of threat, seeing him pushing his buggy, fireworks, gasoline, pulling out the fireworks, lighting the fireworks, going back to the buggy, getting the gas. He had a lot of time. I'm just saying, what was they doing? Just watching.
Fire off a few shots. Now, my sources earlier this morning let me know that there were no actual shots fired from a lethal weapon, and they felt like that was important just to let everybody know that that hadn't happened. But what we're learning now is that he did fire off some shots from that weapon. And on some of the videos that have been circulating online, I heard some of those pops. You also hear a big bang, which I think was the ignition of those fireworks. So a lot of this was caught on camera, as I said, in broad daylight. That's actually why we're able to have so much information at this hearing, because investigators were piecing together this timeline, analyzing all the video so they could see it from all different angles.
Well, and authorities just said, in addition to all of this, in addition to him firing these 5 to 7 rounds, he had a hammer on him, he had a machete on him.
Yep.
And they also said that he
so he had an airsoft pistol, a rifle, a machete. You know what I'm saying? Okay, all right. He had a machete on him as well. Oh wow. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he was out there ready to do something, you know. I didn't know about the machete yet. So we got a rifle, an airsoft rifle, some fireworks, and a machete. Yeah, he was trying to get unalive.
He's 43 years old. He was a mechanic for Patriot Missile Systems.
That's right, back in 2004 and 2000 time.
And he served, guys. You know what I'm saying? He was something with the missile systems. Let's see what they said.
Patriot Missile Systems?
That's right. Yep.
So he was a veteran.
They also said that he served. He's 43 years old. He was a mechanic for the Patriot Missile Systems.
Okay,
that's
right. He was a mechanic for the missile systems. All right.
Back in 2004 and 2005 time frame, we actually got this information on our own from the Army. Our own confirmed team and Rona Tarrant got that information. And thanks to Jim Laporta for his help. He's there at the Pentagon. So we had our sources had told us about this gentleman's identity a few hours ago. So we were able to look in, and he had a LinkedIn page where he put his military service. Now, some of our other sources said, well, listen, he wasn't deployed overseas. We tend to look at PTSD potentially when we see an attack like this. But the picture we're seeing here is somebody who was really anti-government, and that was the fuel behind this attack.
Do we know what he yelled out? Because they were saying that he yelled out some bad words at ICE, and he also had anti-ICE literature on his cart. Do we know what he said yet?
So we do. We had this reporting earlier today that on the cart it was. I have to.
Man, they even know what he was screaming while he was out there, and they got the reports of what was inside of the cart. You know, and don't forget, like I told y'all, also this man left a manifesto, basically confessing to the crime and telling why he did it.
Like, get ICE out, essentially. In terms of those statements, these would have been recorded likely on the body camera videos of those officers who apprehended him, and then potentially statements that were likely recorded after he was Mirandized, so read his right to remain silent. It sounds like he agreed to talk and that he made those statements. And this harkens back to, for me, the Gracie Mansion IED attack. A few months ago, you had 2 men, one of whom shouted Allahu Akbar and threw a homemade explosive device into a crowd at Gracie Mansion. ISIS motivated, according to authorities, and that indictment. And what these young men said was, they essentially admitted, yes, we wanted to hurt as many people as possible. Now you have an individual who is motivated by anti-government, really a far left anti-government extremist ideology who's saying, yes, I didn't mind that I wouldn't hurt people with this. And that's what we heard at that press conference. That's definitely going to go in the charging documents because that helps build the case for intent to harm people and civilians.
Do you think that authorities are going to be asking questions about how he was able to spend the night on the streets with all of this stuff on his person?
Listen, remember about 18 months ago, you had a man walk towards a Park Avenue office building with an AK-47 and open fire, shooting and killing multiple victims. Parked his car, had the weapon, and walked right in. Now, there was a police officer assigned to that building. He was in the lobby. It's just impossible for law enforcement to mitigate every possible threat. We have civil liberties in this country. We just have a lot of freedom. And so law enforcement is constantly balancing that against security. This is probably pretty tricky. If he had not made statements online, if the Intelligence Bureau of the NYPD, I saw Rebecca Weiner standing there at the press conference, if they had not flagged him, if they were not monitoring him closely, it would be hard to know if he was able to conceal those things. Now, if you have a weapon out in the open and he didn't conceal it, I'm sure that's part of the investigation. Right now, what my sources have told me is that he had this cart that he could actually push. And it seems to me that he concealed those explosive devices and those weapons under.
Yeah, but he had to get them out though. And once he got them out, and grabbed the fireworks and them on fire, then ran back to the cart while the officers were still out there to light it up. I mean, that was enough time right there. They seen him with the fireworks to tackle him at least, but he got to pour gasoline on there. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Some kind of material. So what easy to see out in the open. But, this is not the first time that somebody's able to, on the streets of New York City in broad daylight, bring weapons to a place and carry out an attack.
Okay,
it's
and
crazy
much
work.
More to come. Thank you.
Crazy work, y'all. So you hear he had had fireworks in it, gasoline, and he had enough time to get to it and basically set it on fire, guys, and then pour the liquid, as they call it, which we found out was gasoline on it. It just blows my mind. That's crazy. All right, so more on the suspect. A little bit of footage of what he did in the beginning, when he set the fire, as well as pictures of him, so that the public can know exactly who he is. We need 4 more likes. Double tap that screen if you have not, man. If you're new to the channel, make sure you double tap that screen on your mobile device or click the 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. Most definitely subscribe to the channel if you're new, guys. Let's get the likes over 100. Shout out to everybody in the building.
Police say he used an incendiary device outside of a federal immigration court in New York City.
At least 2 people were hurt. As ABC's Rena Roy reports, the FBI is calling this an anti-government attack.
Dramatic video shows a man running outside this federal building in New York City. Then
so here, look. So now we getting a look at how this actually went down, guys. This is him right here. So he poured out. Okay, I don't see any officials. Then it's crazy how they got him so fast. But he most definitely looks to have on a turban, guys, and just runs up and pours the gasoline right in front of the federal building out of nowhere. Just take off running, and basically pour the gasoline right in front of I don't see no cart though. Y'all see a cart? I don't see a cart of you. I don't see a cart on here, but this is most definitely him, guys. Let's check it out.
There's a man running outside this federal building in New York City, then pouring what officials believe to be gasoline and setting the sidewalk on fire. Flames bursting into the air as he runs off.
Yeah, I see it.
Enforcement rushing to the scene. A security
attack.
This is what he did.
Shows a man running outside this federal building in New York City, then pouring what officials believe to be gasoline and setting the sidewalk on fire. Flames bursting into the air. He runs off.
Wow. So this is what he just. Okay, so it wasn't nobody just standing out there that I can see. When he run it from this footage anyway.
Attack.
So that's maybe how he got it off. But I thought they just said he lit the fireworks and then poured the gasoline on. but it looked like he poured the gasoline and then
Video
lit
shows
it.
a man running outside.
Now it had to be something that went on before this, because remember they said he ran back to the buggy in order to get this gasoline. So that means it had to be already, the fireworks have to be already on the ground. Then he put them down there, and then he ran back to the buggy wherever it was at, grabbed the gasoline and ran back to the fireworks, and then set it all on fire. All right, so this is some beginning footage that's missing.
This federal building in New York City, then pouring what officials believe to be gasoline and setting the sidewalk on fire.
See, it's something rolling around right here. This must be the fireworks. The fireworks was rolling around when he poured the gas. They was rolling.
And pouring what officials believe.
See, it looked like it. Okay, so the fireworks had to be inside of the bucket as well. See, then that's a different story than what we've been hearing.
Outside this federal building in New York City, then pouring what officials believe.
It's 3, 1, 2, and then a third one right there. He pulled all of it out at the same time. It was no running back to the buggy to get the gasoline. No, when he came, it was already there, and then he set it on fire. Okay, all right. So it is all right.
In New York City, pouring what officials believe to be gasoline and setting the sidewalk on fire. Flames bursting into the air as he runs off. Law enforcement rushing to the scene, a security officer tackling the suspect.
Fireworks have been extinguished. The detainee has been taken away by federal police.
A man by the name of Andrew Arabaka. Arabaka is a former United States Army soldier. He was enlisted for approximately 4 years, serving from 2001 to 2005.
The FBI says the suspect used fireworks to start the fire and that he also had a pellet gun and a sign that read "Ice off our streets." The Department of Homeland Security saying writings were found in his bag. 2 people were injured, including a bystander who officials say was grazed by fireworks. The other was that security officer who confronted him, according to investigators.
Mr. Arabaka was looking.
So luckily nobody was hurt, guys. But we did find out that he had a machete and an airsoft rifle, guys, on the scene.
To injure people, harm people.
Police sources tell ABC News the suspect is known to them and has expressed anti-ICE sentiments in the past.
He is an anti-American, anti-government extremist. We know that from what he said.
New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani calling the incident disturbing. This comes after 2 men were shot and killed by ICE agents this month, one in Houston, Texas, the other in Biddeford, Maine. Those killings protests. The New York Times is reporting the FBI will no longer investigate confrontations involving immigration agents. The Trump administration denies the report.
And back outside this federal building, you can see that there are barricades set up, and there is always a large security presence outside of this building because it's become such a focal point of protests amid the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Now, I did see something about the man being homeless, a homeless vet, basically. Yeah, this is crazy, guys. It is just, it's crazy. And once again, like we said, like I told y'all earlier, the press, basically confirmed that the FBI will no longer be taking part in investigating any of ICE's cases, guys, from this moment forward. They will not be investigating ICE situations. That's crazy. The FBI pulls back their support of ICE. Check this out.
The DOJ and law enforcement, Devlin Barrett, he's on the byline for the reporting. Chris O'Leary is with us as well. Devlin, pretty specific bit of pushback from this administration. Walk us through what your reporting shows you.
Right. The reporting shows very clearly that Thursday, written instructions were sent out to FBI managers in the field saying that going forward, the FBI would not investigate cases of what the law calls assault on a federal officer. The report also shows that that same day, similar written guidance went out to at least some of the ICE personnel. So, this exists in writing. It was circulated. I take the, denial as a sign that this is not something the administration is committed to. But I think it's important to keep in mind that when it comes to ICE policy and the killings that have happened as a result of ICE policy, we just saw a week ago that they, issued an order to stop doing car stops and then rescinded that order within a matter of, I think, 24 or so hours. So it's not unheard of, frankly, for some of these decisions to go back and forth. But I think what is important is, to me, what's most telling about the reporting is that these investigations are a real source of contention inside federal law enforcement because of these shootings, because of these confrontations, and because of the way the Justice Department has been charging some of these cases.
Why is there so much contention?
Well, for one thing, you have the issue of, in some of these instances, we know that FBI agents were told to investigate only the narrow question of whether the people who shot or the people who had confrontations with the ICE agents assaulted those ICE agents. Now, one of the tricky parts of that for any investigation is you can't really truly investigate just one side of an interaction. Almost by definition, if you're investigating an interaction between two humans, you have to gather evidence about what both of those humans did. So even in instances where the FBI is assigned to investigate an ICE agent shooting an individual, almost inherently you're going to gather some evidence that could in theory be used to investigate the agent themselves.
What's the track record on investigating these shootings? Do we have an update on what's happening after the two killings of American citizens in Minneapolis, Devlin?
Right. When it comes to Minneapolis, there has been a great deal of back and forth and frankly internal frustration that those investigations weren't broader, weren't more fulsome, frankly, and didn't address, the larger question of, did the ICE agent perhaps violate any laws here, particularly civil rights laws, particularly laws about actions taken under the color of law. That's the legal term. This is the backdrop to these discussions inside the government. How do you investigate, if you do investigate, these instances?
The FBI say we ain't got nothing to do with it.
Instances where ICE agents fire their weapons.
I wonder about messaging, what internal messaging is being sent to these ICE recruits and ICE officers. Last week, we had a whistleblower on, Chris, who was saying that they're just not getting training. They're being rushed through the training. People who would normally fail the training are getting pushed through no matter what. And he's very worried about the threat that these officers, these new recruits especially, are putting the American public under because of their lack of training. On CBS over the weekend, on Face the Nation, Margaret Brennan did an extraordinary job of pressing Tom Homan on what happened in Maine. And she asked him repeatedly, what was that person supposed to do? These cars were not marked. What was he supposed to think? And Tom Homan said, well, they have sirens on top of them, but could not say whether the sirens were working. And that has happened so much, where these cars and these officers are masked. They don't appear to be clearly marked in some cases. And people, maybe they think it's ICE, or maybe they think it's someone else getting carjacked. Who knows what? On the question of messaging, is the administration messaging to the ICE officers, to the DHS agents, do whatever you want? We won't look into it too closely. We'll have your back. Find a way to explain it away.
It certainly seems that way to me. Number one, they are getting rushed through, and certainly the individual who has been identified as conducting the shooting in Maine, it does not look like he was properly vetted and certainly not properly trained.
ICE is getting a lot of blowback, man. A lot of blowback.
Judging by his actions where he took a life. And the other thing, it's inexcusable that, somebody would go after an individual who is not the actual subject of the investigation just because they're the same, racial profile or same height and weight. And now you engage in a deadly force encounter because of somebody you had confused with somebody you thought was the focus of your investigation. Listen, I think the broader question is not the FBI will not involve in assault on federal officer investigations. It's the broader issue that the FBI will not investigate DHS and ICE and CBP, because the authority and the track record of the FBI doing that goes back to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, where the FBI started investigating institutional discrimination that include police departments, other federal agencies, and then again reinforced in 1994 with the Violent Crime Control Act. And the FBI looks into patterns and practices of discrimination, illegal searches, excessive use of force, and intimidation on part of society, which we see those things playing out in front of us, right
Is
now.
it a good thing or a bad thing that the FBI stepping away, basically when it comes to ICE incidents? Could be a bad thing.
So it's, the concern about, you have agenda and you're using brutal tactics, and it looks like people are getting a get out of jail free card, so they will continue to do it. It should be indefensible, and Tom Holman trying to justify it is, it's a disgrace.
All right, Chris O'Leary, Devlin Barrett, gentlemen, thank you very much.
It's crazy, and that ain't it, guys. Because right now, live right now, they're basically discussing the situations in Congress with ICE, and the Iran situation. Democrats, or anyway, they're on the floor. Let's check out a little bit of what they had to say regarding ICE, guys.
His mass deportation now promise. Campaign pledge when he unleashed ICE into cities across the country to carry out his brutal immigration crackdown. In its wake, including in the city of Chicago, the so-called worst of the worst. Remember, President, he was after those who are rapists, murderers, terrorists, criminally insane, and predators.
Right, and that's where the issue comes in, because people are saying, okay, y'all supposed to be going after the hardened criminal, illegal immigrants first, giving the ones who aren't criminals a chance to be able to get their green cards. But what has happened is, and as far as the media is reporting, is that they're going after anybody without a green card. Matters if you got a violent history or not. If you don't got a green card, you're gone. And when they were saying that the mass deportation situation was going on, they were telling those people that basically we coming after the hardened criminals. But that ain't what happened.
The worst of the worst, that's who we're going after. He said it over and over and over again. Turns out the worst of the worst didn't fit in that category at all. Who were they? Some were U.S. citizens, legal residents, and people with no prior criminal history whatsoever. None. And the administration brutally carried out this political theater by deploying military-grade weapons and using overwhelming displays of force that left communities and our country on edge. I saw it firsthand in the city of Chicago. Operation Midway Blitz. In our Hispanic neighborhoods, people were afraid to come out to go to church, afraid to send their kids to school. Were these criminals who were harboring their children?
And does that not what he just said mirror what we heard Tom Holman say about ICE agents and their families? Yeah, when I said it, y'all like, oh man, this is what they saying. This is what everybody's saying.
Operation Midway Blitz. In our Hispanic neighborhoods, people were afraid to come out to go to church, afraid to send their kids to school. Were these criminals who were harboring their children from going to school? Hardly. They're people who work in common jobs every single day, who stood next to you in the line in the grocery store, and who was with you in the pew at church on Sunday. Worst of the worst didn't hold up at all. And its tensions boiled over with the killings of 2 American citizens at that time. We saw them in real time in videotape. Renee Hood and Alex Preddy in Minnesota. After the public outcry, the ICE raids were quietly scaled back by the Trump administration and Stephen Miller. But now Stephen Miller, the president's domestic advisor, and Secretary of Department of Homeland Security, Mullen, are quietly resuming these efforts, with immigration arrests surging this month to the highest levels in this administration. I assume they felt that America just wouldn't notice if they went back in business. But we have. In the last 2 weeks, 2 fatal shootings by ICE agents in Texas and Maine have thrust this government's tax back into the spotlight. Earlier this month, ICE shot and killed Lorenzo Salgado Arroyo during a traffic stop in Houston. Mr. Arroyo had lived in the country for more than 30 years and was not the intended target of the operation. He is survived by his children, who are U.S. citizens. Instead of investigating, the ICE agents detained the witnesses on the scene. The Harris County District Attorney has said these witnesses are critical to the investigation, but they're detained by the ICE agents. And last week, Juan Sebastian Guerrero was also shot and killed while in his vehicle in Maine. He is survived by his wife and a 3-year-old daughter, who will now grow up without a father. The ICE agent who fatally shot Mr. Guerrero was hired by the Trump administration, despite the fact that he has a long history of domestic violence, abuse, and mental health issues. Yes, a man with long history of mental abuse and domestic violence was hired as an ICE agent, given a gun and a mask. It's not clear whether ICE simply failed to vet him or identified these issues and ignored them. DHS quickly rushed to claim that both shootings were justified without any body-worn camera footage or any serious investigation. You know, it's interesting.
Which is why I said they most definitely need to have cameras on body cams on each and every ICE agent. If you're out there interacting with the public, you know, taking people to jail, you most definitely need a body cam, because the American people want to know what goes on when something happens and somebody is unalive.
Agency, which is actively trying to arrest, detain, and deport thousands of people, meeting quotas set by Stephen Miller each day. The agents involved in this are not like your hometown police, not like your state police either. We know that their background checks are obviously very weak. The training is limited. We all know that when they're on the job, on the clock, they're wearing masks. When's the last time your local police wore masks in your hometown? How about your state troopers when they pull you over on the highway? Are they wearing masks? Of course not. But this is insisted on because these ICE agents are so notorious. These fatalities I've talked about could have been avoided. These people could be alive today. After the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, we tried time and again to get our Republican colleagues to sit down and agree just on some basics. Without a search warrant or arrest warrant, a person posing to be a policeman should not be crashing down the door of your home. That's pretty basic, isn't it?
What's up, C?
If there's a warrant or extraordinary circumstances, it's one thing. But the ICE agents crash down the door of people that they suspect might be in the United States undocumented. Many times they're just plain wrong. Sometimes those homeowners turn out to be U.S. citizens. And yet when we sit down and say that should be basic in America, shouldn't it? If someone's going to invade my home with my wife and my kids or grandkids there, for goodness sakes, they ought to have at least the color of law behind them, the support of the court behind them, not ICE agents. Every instance we tried to make these changes, simple, common sense law enforcement changes, the Republicans said no. Instead, the administration has lurched in the opposite direction, enabling these abuses to continue. On the heels of these back-to-back killings, which I've described, ICE temporarily paused traffic stops. But President Trump quickly took to social media to personally reverse that decision. The president said, quote, The men and women of ICE are doing a great job, despite the recent reports of the killings. And we cannot give up ICE's most important and effective crime-fighting tools, the president said, the traffic stop. Being pulled over and shot in your car has to be part of the strategy of ICE, according to the president. Traffic stops have been among the deadliest tactics during this president's mass raids, but apparently he doesn't care. And according to the New York Times just yesterday, the FBI has informed its agents around the country that the FBI would no longer investigate alleged assaults by immigration agents. Why is that important? I'll tell you. This change will sharply limit law enforcement scrutiny of ICE agents.
This is the Democrats. This is the Democrats for the people that just now coming in. Speaking about the overall work that ICE does, you know what I'm saying, and they dislike him for it. Basically, this comes after a situation that happened in New York where a federal building was targeted by a crazy man, you know, with a machete, an airsoft rifle, some fireworks, and some gasoline. He tried to burn the federal building down, guys. And it's been a lot of blowback going at ICE for a minute now, you know, but they are most definitely right now currently on the Congress is on the floor, basically speaking on the actions of ICE, guys, the Democratic Party anyway.
Involvement in officer-involved shootings has provided an independent set of eyes and often uncovered crucial facts, including misconduct by federal officers, misconduct that has been evident in recent cases. The Department of Homeland Security's Office of Inspector General has at least agreed to investigate use of excessive force by ICE agents. But it is unacceptable that the government's top law enforcement agency, the FBI, has reportedly chosen to ignore its mission to enforce the law and instead does the White House bidding. At a time when American people are demanding more transparency and answers, the administration gives us less. We mourn the loss of these beloved community members, and Senate Democrats will continue to call for an end to these fatal raids. Now, Mr. President, on a separate topic. Last week, the President of the United States delivered a primetime address from the White House. These sorts of addresses are usually reserved for national crises or the making of a major milestone. So what was the occasion last week for President Trump?
What's up,
address? To air 6-year-old grievances and lies about the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. You see, despite the fact that Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden in 2020 by 7 million votes, President Trump refuses to acknowledge the truth. And he continues to complain, which is the reason for his statement last week. In a 25-minute rant, the president alleged sweeping foreign interference in voting and railed against the so-called deep state. He was actually railing against his own administration. You see, the 2020 election was during his term, his first term as president. He was in charge. He appointed the people who were supposed to enforce the law. The press conference and announcement last week ignored that fact. These claims would be laughable if they weren't so dangerous. First, the president was famous for not reading or requesting shorter and shorter versions of a brief provided by our intelligence community each day. He alleges the deep state misrepresented what actually happened to hide information from him. Second, his then Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, who President Trump now has being the Central Intelligence Agency, made public remarks addressing all of the concerns in 2020. It's hard to hide information you publicly discuss in press conferences. President Trump claimed the Department of Homeland Security has identified 278,000 non-citizens registered to vote in federal elections. Think of that. The President of the United States claimed that his agency of government has the names of 278,000 non-citizens registered to vote in federal elections. Well, I sure want to see that evidence. I'm sure the American people do too. The president can't produce it. It doesn't exist. None. Not one page of documents backing up the claims that he made in this public statement. No evidence. Election experts and state officials have called out this claim wildly speculative. Here are the actual facts. You know the Save America Act, which the president is fixed on. Can't think of anything else.
He most definitely on Trump them top. You know what I'm saying? He don't like a lot of stuff they do.
The idea behind it is to make sure that non-citizens don't vote in the United States. Would you guess that it's currently against the law in the United States for non-citizens to vote? It's true. Well, let's take a look. Take a look at the Heritage Foundation, which is a conservative group, and ask them to provide information on how many non-citizens have been caught trying to vote in the United States. Well, we took a look. Between 1993 and 2023, that would be 30 years, 1993 to 2023, millions and millions of votes were cast. How many non-citizens have we identified trying to vote in those elections? Well, if we're going to change the laws of the United States, there must be a lot of them. Turned out there were 77. Out of millions of people who registered and voted, 77 were actually not citizens of the United States. The president wants to change the law. And how does he want to change the law? Well, if you want to register to vote under the president's approach, you have to prove you're a citizen of the United States. How can you do that? Oh, I'll show my driver's license. I'm sorry, that's not enough under this law. Under this law, you would have to show your passport. Got one in your back pocket? Half of Americans don't own a passport. And if you want to get a passport so you can vote in the next election in about 100 days, what does it take? Well, you go to the passport agency and you plop down $165. That's what it costs for a basic passport in this country. And then you hope that it arrives in time. If you want to speed it up and get an accelerated process, it's $225. So in order to exercise your right to vote under the Save America law of the president, he wants you to pay a poll tax, a passport fee of up to $225 to vote. Anything wrong with that? It's just against most of the laws we've promulgated over the years, saying that poll taxes on people to vote were fundamentally unfair. Oh, you can bring your birth certificate. I was thinking about when I was home over the weekend. I asked my wife, where's my birth certificate? And she said, I think it's in a box in the closet. We haven't seen it in a long time. Well, according to the president's Save America bill, you're going to have to produce one. And incidentally, if you're a woman with a maiden name on a birth certificate, you have to have an additional documentation. All of this to stop the scourge of non-citizens who voting. There were 77 of them over a 30-year period of time. 77 in a nation of millions of people. But the president can't get it out of his head that somehow or another the foreigners are taking over our election. He lost one and he just can't live with it. So why would the president host that primetime address, attempting to resurrect these debunked claims? I'll tell you, it's exactly why he did it months preceding the 2020 election that he sought to steal. He's trying to lay the groundwork to justify rigging the results of the next election.
Hey, he say Trump rigged the election, guys. You know, yeah, he is most definitely on Trump. Now, this is a Democratic point of view, guys, that's being spoken right now. But Lord have mercy, he is calling Trump out on everything.
That's real political theater. President Trump and his Republican Party are struggling in the polls. They know their mega agenda is making life more expensive, communities less safe, and government more corrupt. And guess what? We're now, again, sadly, in a never-ending war. So now they're focused on reviving thoroughly debunked conspiracy theories to determine future elections before a single vote is cast. As we heard in the president's address, he will use these bogus claims to push for passage of this anti-democratic, anti-voting Save America Act. It's already illegal for non-citizens to vote in the United States. They face prosecution and jail time for doing it. The Save America Act attempts to solve a problem that does not exist. The bill would impose expensive administrative roadblocks, making it more difficult for people to vote. Is that what America is all about? difficulties and hurdles for exercising our right to vote? I don't believe it will. We need to stop this effort immediately. We need to give the American people the last word in the election in November, not the president and his bizarre theories on who won in 2020. Mr. President, I yield the floor.
He was supposed to be talking about ICE. He started out with ICE and then moved thoroughly right along to
with the senator withholding request.
Move right on to Trump and start talking about Trump.
Of course, I'm sorry. I didn't
It's
see
crazy,
Senator.
guys. Hold on.
I yield to my friend from Wyoming.
Hold on. What's going on? I know I seen Schumer.
Here from Wyoming.
I ask unanimous consent to waive the mandatory quorum call with respect to the Flowers nomination.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I rise today to talk about the basic duty we all took an oath to carry out and whether we are living up to it. The U.S. Senate was never designed to be easy. It was designed to be deliberate, to force people who disagree to sit in the same room and work something out anyway. That only works if everyone here still believes in the underlying premise that we were sent to govern no matter who is the president. The goal is not to defeat the other side for its own sake, but to do the hard, unglamorous work of running this country together in good faith, even when we'd rather not.
All right. I'm gonna pause her. You know, we'll come back to her. Let's get over here to Chuck Schumer. He has some things to say. You know, Chuck always be having me laughing. He most definitely has some things to say when it came to this ICE situation. Let's go here. And make sure you guys are double tapping their screen. Subscribe to the channel if you are new.
Democratic leader.
Mr. President, well, we have Trump Steaks, Trump University, Trump Airlines, Trump Coin, and Trump presidency, all cons. The price changes, the con stays the same. Donald Trump has turned the presidency of the United States into the most profitable scheme of his life, and American families are being forced to pay the price. Today, I'm launching a new effort to expose the corruption, show Americans exactly what is costing them, and build reforms needed to stop any president from using public office for personal profit. Senate Democrats will be exposing this self-dealing, showing Americans exactly what it's costing, and developing reforms to make sure no president can abuse the office this way again. For the next 3 weeks, Senate Democrats are putting Trump's corruption under a microscope. Throughout the month, we'll follow the money, expose the deals, name people cashing in, and show how Trump's corruption reaches directly into the pockets of working people. This week, we're releasing a new report.
Dem say they going after Trump pockets, guys. They finna hit him where it hurt, in his pockets, exposing his deals and all kind of other stuff, you know, that he might have been doing in office that he was supposed to not be doing.
That lays out the staggering scale of the grift. How Trump has used the power of the presidency to enrich himself, reward his family, protect his friends, sell access to anyone willing to pay. The report shows how Americans are struggling to afford groceries, healthcare, housing, energy, while Donald Trump and his family have reportedly made more than $4 billion from the presidency. We'll also be hosting another tabletop exercise with Democratic Election Task Force to prepare to counter Trump's efforts to rig the 2026 midterms. Next week, we'll hold a roundtable on how Trump's corruption is directly driving up everyday costs for the American people, and average folks will testify to what they're going through. And the following week, we'll release major legislation designed to rein in Trump's rampant corruption and to prevent any president from ever doing it again. You pay, Trump profits. That's the pattern of this administration, and we'll highlight it everywhere we see it. No amount of gold leaf can conceal the rot spreading through this White House. Corruption is not a sideshow in the Trump administration, it's the whole business model. Trump cuts protections for workers and consumers, his wealthy friends cash in. Trump cuts food assistance and health care, billionaires get another tax break. Trump hands out pardons to the rich and well-connected, accepts lavish gifts from foreign governments, and arranges sweetheart deals for his family business. Trump uses the government, Trump gets richer, Americans foot the bill. His corruption is not victimless. It has a price, and working families are paying it every single day. The average American family is already spending more than $3,100 extra because of this administration's policies. And yet, Trump still expects taxpayers to finance a MAGA slush fund they never approved, a golden ballroom they never asked for, upgrades to foreign luxury jet the president does not need. Donald Trump has turned the Oval Office into his personal ATM, the federal government into his family business, the American taxpayer into the mark. A few months ago, Trump said, "I don't think about Americans' financial situation." Of course he does. He's too busy thinking about his own. Donald Trump may believe the presidency is simply another brand to monetize, another product to sell, another scam to run, but he is dead wrong. The president belongs to the American people. It's not a license to steal, it's not a family business, and it's not Donald Trump's personal property. So throughout this month, Senate Democrats will expose the corruption that Trump wants hidden. We'll follow the money and expose the deals. We'll show who profits, who pays, and how Trump has rigged the government for himself and the people closest to him. And we'll make one thing unmistakably clear.
They're going to hit Trump in the pockets, basically what he's saying when he say we're going to follow the money. Yeah, going to follow Trump's money, where it's been going, how he been getting it, you know what I'm saying, and exposing it to the American people.
The White House is not for sale. Trump has spent his life betting that the con will always work. This time, the American people will see exactly how the scam works and exactly who has been handed the keys to the kingdom. The Iran war. Donald Trump needs to reckon with the terrible cost of the disastrous war he has dared call a skirmish, a little excursion, and once he called it a lovely stay. There's nothing lovely or little about Trump's blunder in Iran. Nothing. On Thursday, Trump insisted to the nation that we're winning big in Iran, and you'll see the fruits of that labor very, very shortly. But instead, and sadly, we saw 3 more brave American service members tragically lose their lives over the weekend because of Trump's reckless war in Iran. Dozens of other U.S. troops were wounded in Iranian strikes last week, and 1 service member still remains missing. I'm praying for their families in this difficult hour. I speak for the entire Senate when I say how much we appreciated their sacrifice. This carnage is the bitter fruit of Trump's labor in Iran. Every second Trump prolongs his war is another second the lives of our men and women in uniform are in danger. In the coming days, we're going to make Senate Republicans take another vote on our War Powers resolution to end this war and get our troops out of harm's way. Trump needs to stop this catastrophe and bring our troops home, and Senate Republicans can't let him off the hook until he does. Now, right here, I want to briefly take a moment to recognize some guests from New York who are in the Capitol today. No, you're not the Long Island Association, but I guess I'm a little late. They were here. The Long Island Association, a storied regional business development group, is celebrating 100th anniversary. Some members traveled here today to celebrate this occasion. Their century of work, fighting to make Long Island a better place to live, work, and do business, has accomplished more for the region. From affordability to energy to infrastructure to innovation, they lit the road forward for Long Island's future. It's been my pleasure to work with them for several decades, and I know that under the leadership of their acting CEO and President Stacy Sykes, who worked for me, we will continue our great tradition of delivering for Long Island together. I yield the floor.
All right, so that was old Chuck. You know, he had some things that he wanted to say. You know, he said basically they're gonna be hitting Trump in the pockets. At the first senator on the floor, basically be talking about the situation going on with ICE, and with ICE getting so much attention from the New York City Plaza incendiary device that was ignited today. You know, basically he's been on the news. He had more to say regarding this situation and ICE, guys. As we get into this one, man, if you have not, most definitely double tap that screen, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, guys. You know, as I bring you all the information about the situation that took place in New York, guys, where a dude tried to burn up the federal building where ICE be. Let's go here.
Around 9 o'clock this morning, a man with an incendiary device and some liquid, I don't know what the liquid was, put the liquid down, set some fireworks on top of it. It caused a little bit of a fire. He was armed with a pellet gun. 2 people were injured. Our Joint Terrorism Task Force is investigating this as an anti-government attack federal facility.
Top of the new hour here, chaos outside a federal building in New York City today. Thick smoke erupting outside the lower Manhattan complex as agents confront a suspect with their guns drawn. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Sandra Smith. We have an update on that situation. And look who's joining us this week. Jillian, good to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Sandra. It's awesome to be here with you in person.
Live from Studio J.
Live from Studio J. I'm Jillian Turner in for John today. This is America Report. Right now, the FBI says they have a suspect in custody. No word on what caused the smoke we saw on scene earlier. Investigators.
Now, I showed y'all the footage of him running down there, you know, basically setting trying to set the building on fire, guys. We've seen that footage already.
Say an incendiary device used outside the building. It houses ICE agents as well as a federal immigration court.
Law enforcement sources telling Fox News Digital the suspect's name is Andrew Arabica and that he had, quote,
Andrew Arabica. That's his name, guys. He most definitely had a turban on when he was doing all this. And they say they've been watching him for a while. He is a veteran, though. You know what I'm saying? What was it? He monitored the missile systems when he was in the Army. Yeah, man. So basically, you know, we got a vet that's basically responsible for trying to burn down this federal building. He said that he's upset. You know, with ICE, he hurled slurs, you know, cussed him out, and he also left a manifesto.
Stuff on him. White House border czar Tom Homan will be here to react in moments.
First, we go to correspondent Nate Foy. He's right here in the New York newsroom with all the details. Hey, Nate.
Hey, Jillian. Good afternoon. So, yeah, those law enforcement sources confirming with Fox News Digital the man arrested is named Andrew Arabica and that he had anti-ICE stuff on him. Take a live look at the scene in downtown Manhattan, the federal building. You can see investigators here picking up evidence right now. This building houses New York City's immigration court, ICE offices, and FBI field office. You can see that things are more calm now. Take a look at this next video at about 9 a.m. Eastern time. Things looked very different. This was right after that man set off fireworks outside the building, Arabica. Federal agents took him into custody. They also found a pellet gun. The FBI's assistant director in charge, James Barnacle, provided an update on those injured in the attack.
2 people were injured, 1 federal employee and 1 civilian. Minor injuries. They are both treated and released.
Democratic politicians who frequently criticize ICE are striking a different tone than normal after this morning's attack. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said acts of terror and violence will never be tolerated, while New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani posted in part on X, quote, "What occurred outside 26 Federal Plaza this morning was deeply disturbing. I'm relieved no one was seriously injured and that a suspect is in custody.
Yeah, he was out there with an airsoft rifle and a machete, guys. Gasoline, fireworks, you know, trying to cause as much damage as he possibly could with the things that were accessible to him. This is crazy.
He's in touch with the NYPD, and we will support the federal investigation. Now, as you know, Jillian, this same building has been the site of several anti-ICE demonstrations, including the one last September that resulted in the arrest of New York congressional candidate and former city comptroller Brad Lander. The FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force is leading this investigation to what they call an anti-government attack. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Nate Foy here in New York for us this afternoon. Thank you. Sandra.
All right, thank you. Joining us now with an exclusive reaction, White House border czar Tom Homan. Tom, welcome back to you. So can you please add to what we are learning here?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the comments from Mamdani and Jeffries, but too little, too late. They spent a year attacking ICE, comparing ICE. So let's abolish ICE because they're fascists. ICE are Nazis, ICE are racist. ICE is a secret
Now I
group.
told y'all I had Holman. Holman's back, with another reaction. I also showed his initial reaction a little bit earlier in the video. So if you missed it, make sure when we done, you run it back. It's a lot of information within this video, guys. Make sure you double tap in that screen if you have not. That's how you hit that like button, or click the 3 dots in the right hand corner. Hit that thumbs up. Either way, it helps out the channel, guys. And remember to subscribe to the channel. If you are new, we on the road to 64K. We need all the subscribers we can get. So subscribe. If this is your brand of entertainment, because we most definitely bring you updates as well as live footage of everything going on that catches my interest in the news, guys.
ICE isn't a real law enforcement agency. Fail to comply with ICE. I see the signs every protest resist. So look, they have educated people that they can resist ICE, and the hateful rhetoric continues, which we've had some tragedies recently because people didn't want to comply with ICE. So this is yet another example today. What happened in front of the federal buildings, another example of attacking ICE. And I'm sure if you ask that person why he did it, he can repeat the talking points I just said that you hear from Democratic members of Congress, the Democratic mayors and governors who simply want ICE to go away.
So you complimented from Mamdani for his response here. So he said what occurred outside the plaza this morning was deeply disturbing. Said the New York City mayor, I'm relieved no one was seriously injured and that the suspect is in custody. Mamdani's team is apparently in touch with police and will support the federal investigation. Can you add anything more to what that coordination and cooperation looks like right now, Tom? How are all these different bodies interacting right now?
Well, look, I'm hoping the NYPD will work and coordinate with the FBI and federal investigators. I don't think he'd have that same stance if it was ICE conducting the investigation, right? But look, I think despite the mayor's stances and his political stance on a lot of things, I think the FBI has a close working relationship with NYPD. They have the Joint Terrorism Task Force, got the Homeland Security Committee. So I think Homeland Security Task Force. So I think the relationship's pretty good when it comes to something this serious. So we'll see how it turns out. So this incident just happened. I'm just learning about it before I walked out here on the North Lawn. So I think NYPD will work well with the FBI to address terrorism attack.
So law enforcement sources telling Fox News Digital that there was anti-ICE stuff on him. That's about all we know. Can you add any further detail to that? What exactly was the content?
I don't want to get hit.
Suspect named in New York City alleged incendiary device attack had anti-ICE stuff on him. The suspect accused of deploying incendiary device outside of 26 Federal Plaza in New York Monday morning is named Andrew Arabaka. Two law enforcement sources have confirmed to Fox News. So, that's basically the suspect right there. That's his name. That's how you spell it. Go do your research on him, find out if he has any priors, let me know. Shout out to Ms. Poobar for being a member for the last 22 months. She says, be a part of something great. Join the #1 interactive platform on YouTube, guys. Most definitely, you can press the money sign, and most definitely you can grab you a membership if you're interested in becoming a member of this channel, guys. But let's continue.
The FBI and us, I simply don't know. You got to advise this before it came out the North Lawn. But again, why does he think ICE is bad? Why does he want to attack ICE? Again, because the last year and a half, all he's heard from Democratic members of Congress and sanctuary city mayors and governors is that ICE is not a real law enforcement agency. ICE is separating families. ICE arresting people in churches and hospitals, which is none of it's true. So I'm sure he's been educated by the wrong people, and he's chosen to take action. Because every time they talk about the hateful rhetoric rises, there's a small percentage on the far left who will take some sort of ridiculous action because they feel emboldened because members of Congress are agreeing with him that ICE needs to go away.
Tom, just to be clear and add to the report, we know that the target here, the 26 Federal Plaza, building houses a number of government offices, including the New York office of the FBI. But also, adding to that, the immigrant court where many migrants have been arrested after leaving hearings. Bigger picture here, Tom, as we continue to look at these pictures of the scene here in New York City, we're getting close, just over 100 days to midterm elections. We have candidates that are openly running with anti-ICE, abolish ICE on their platforms. What is your message to those that are spreading that kind of rhetoric to voters?
Educate yourselves. Go to ice.gov and educate yourself on what ICE does. It isn't just civil immigration enforcement, it's criminal immigration enforcement. It's drug enforcement, weapons, firearms investigations. ICE actually investigates people try to smuggle technology out of the United States, sophisticated like missile technology, and sell it to our enemies around the world. ICE conducts type of investigation. ICE is the second largest component of the Joint Terrorism Task Force for the FBI. ICE does a lot of national security. When it comes to immigration enforcement, the majority of people we are arresting, despite the lies being told by the left, are criminals. The last number I looked at was 60%.
Said the left is telling lies. Holman say, man, he is standing 10 toes down behind his ICE agents. He don't care what none of them say.
40% criminal. How can anybody be against taking an illegal alien criminal off the streets of their neighborhood? So again, it's fake stories, right? I challenge any Democratic representative to give me one example of ICE arresting anybody at a hospital. One example of ICE arresting anybody at elementary school. One example of ICE arresting people at a church. Well, I hear it all the time, but they've yet provided one example. This constant lying to the American people, they think this is a winning message for them going to the midterms, and they're going to keep it up. They're not going to go away. They're not going to stop lying. I just wish we'll spend a few minutes, go to ice.gov, and look at the amazing work the men and women of ICE do every day.
Okay, and as we now know, they are naming the suspect Andrew Arabica. Not sure exactly how that's pronounced, but I do want to highlight what is on the screen here before it's removed. I'm being told that these are the things behind the suspect, Tom. It includes what looks like some sort of carry cart or a temporary wagon setup with the words.
So this is the buggy that he had, guys. When they said that he had the stuff inside the buggy, and it was hard to see exactly what he had in there. It says "ICE off our streets," guys. And this is what he carried the fireworks and the gasoline in. He left that behind. They found that after he was arrested.
ICE off our streets.
So it was most definitely toward ICE, guys.
ICE stuff that was on the suspect at the time, Tom.
Well, good luck with that. ICE isn't leaving the streets at all. Matter of fact, we're going to increase our presence in New York because there's sanctuary policy. We're hopefully just signed legislation that ended our 287G agreements, that ended our cooperation with the sheriffs, which means rather than one agent arresting one bad guy in jail or a 287G program, now we got to send a whole team, a fugitive operations team, to go look for that bad guy that we could have arrested in safety creative jail, which is safer for the agents, safer for the aliens, safer for the community. But because of their actions, their sanctuary state actions, now we got to send more agents there to do the same job that took less a few months ago.
I got to let you go. I know you've got a lot of work to do, Tom, but just before you go, will this person be held accountable and responsible?
Absolutely. I think we got a strong leader in the Attorney General's office. We got a strong leader in FBI. President Trump has said 1,000 times, he will not stand by and let anybody violate the law, especially when it comes to domestic terror acts like this or attacks against ICE officers. Attacks against ICE is up 1,400%. Zero tolerance. President Trump told me this himself. Zero tolerance. You attack ICE, you'll be held to the highest standards of the law.
We really appreciate joining us here top of the hour on this news. Thank you very much, sir.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox
I
News.
thought that was my lawnmower, man. I didn't know what was going on. That lawnmower was loud. I thought it was my lawnmower. But anyway, y'all, so we got Tom Homan with an official word, basically speaking about ICE, basically backing them 100%, and basically still saying, hey, man, we're doing a great job, and that it's just a lot of blowback from the Democrats, that's basically hyping this thing up, making it what it is, man. But yeah, I took y'all all the way down through there when it comes to the situation in New York. As they continue to give us updates, I'll most definitely bring y'all some more updates I hope y'all enjoyed the show. If you did, most definitely, if you have not, double tap that screen. That's how you hit the like button, or click those 3 dots in the right hand corner and hit that thumbs up. I brought y'all the Democrats. I let y'all hear exactly what they had to say, as well as all the latest and breaking details when it comes to this entire situation. Hell, which side do you think did a better job, Biden or Trump? Man, listen, I think everything is out of control. I think Trump's wrongdoings and things of that nature, A-Dub, are being highlighted everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's a lot of work that needs to be done in government. The president, the senators, it's a lot of work needs to be done there anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not just going to pass blame on anybody. I'm going to just say they need to fix it all. They're done. Heck of a job. Okay. I often wish I could save everyone's smile for me now. But either way it goes, man, there's a lot of things going on as far as the Iran situation as well. Probably bring y'all some of that at a later time. But yeah, man, been out on vacation, but we most definitely back now. I'm getting back in the groove. Y'all make sure y'all support the channel by hitting that like button, and most definitely subscribe over here if you new. This is Everything News, where I bring y'all everything in the news that interests me and hope it interests y'all. You know, y'all have a great rest of y'all day. I'm most definitely gonna get up out of here. Shout out to y'all, man. I catch y'all on the next one. If you subscribe, make sure you turn your notification bell on to all, you know, so that you don't miss anything when Everything News goes live, man. Peace to y'all. I catch y'all later.